Hello. Welcome back to my post-surgery video. Just to start, I guess I'll get started with my stats. I had the vertical sleeve surgery, the vertical sleeve gastrectomy, August 16th at Northwest Medical Center with Dr. Cahill Shillingford. My highest weight was 262. My weight day of surgery was 253. And as of today, I am officially 1 week post-op. And my weight today is 245. So I'm really proud overall. Since my highest weight, that's a loss of 17 pounds. I guess I should start at surgery day. Well, first of all, let me just talk about my pre-op diet. I made a video the day that I got the phone call confirming my surgery date, and I was really excited, a little nervous, a little anxious, but really excited to just, not surgery date, but surgery time, to know the time that I was reporting in for surgery. I made my way through the pre-op diet kind of not exactly by the rule, but I managed to lose 10 pounds, and I gained like a little bit back on the final couple of days, I guess. So went into surgery 9 pounds down from the pre-op diet. The pre-op diet was not the greatest thing for me. It was a little difficult to stick to just the broth and shakes that my doctor prescribed, but I felt like I stuck with soups, and I stuck within the limit that my dietitian recommended as far as for carb count, and it was primarily soups and shakes that I ate. It just wasn't necessarily broth. And I also had salad. So basically, a lot of lettuce, a lot of celery, a lot of cucumbers to give me some substance during the time of the pre-op. And I think I had cream of wheat like once or twice in the mornings during the early part of the pre-op diet. So that went well enough. So as I transitioned into my surgery day, I went on the full liquid, just the broth and the shakes, and that was cool. I only did it for a day, and then went in for surgery 6 o'clock the morning of the 16th, and everything moved really fast from the minute I got in to getting officially checked in and getting an IV started, getting all, having the final consultation meeting with the doctor and the nurse team and the anesthesiologist before. Everything just was like clockwork, just, tick, 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 tick. Everything kind of went really fast. And I guess that's kind of a good thing, but it was a bad thing. And that I was like, oh, wow, it's all happening, really quickly. So going into surgery, it just happened so fast. I really didn't have a chance to get too nervous or uptight about it. They gave me something to relax me, willed me back, and the next thing you know, I was waking up. Now, I watched a lot of videos and did a lot of research prior to having the surgery, and I was prepared to possibly feel some pain. I didn't go into it thinking that it was going to be an easy ride. I expected to at least have some intense gas pains when I woke up. So the fact that I didn't was kind of great for me. I did not have the experience that some people did have. I'm thankful for that. If you are viewing this and you're about to have surgery, you know based on maybe the other videos that you've viewed that people's experience can vary, and it's a very individual experience. I did have some some gassiness, but it was not intense at all. Again, I'm blessed and lucky. They also found a hernia while they were in doing the VSG. So I did have a hernia repair. So when I woke up, I would say I didn't feel a lot of pain, but I was anxious about possibly feeling more. So when the nurse asked me, "Are you feeling any pain?" I said, "Yeah, a little." And so she gave me something. And the next thing I know, I was really coming to in the room, or being wheeled to the room. And then I woke up pretty quickly. I again felt just maybe minor soreness where the incisions had been, and really didn't feel like the real pain into the later that day or early the next morning. And that would have been more like, it's more like a soreness that I felt like if you'd had a really intense workout, or even, been in like a boxing match, or practicing boxing with somebody, and you have like all this abdominal soreness. I felt that, and then a little bit of pain from the incisions, but nothing major. I was on the morphine pump, and I didn't even use it that much. And I did walk. I didn't have intense gas pain, but I didn't want to have, it's best to walk. It's best to get moving. It's not only for gas, it's also to prevent blood clots. So I made sure to get up and walk a few times that first day, and then again, on a regular basis the second day. That first day, of course, just par for the course. I had the ice chips. Went in for the leak test the next morning, and everything was okay. Drank that awful fluid, and complained about it, as probably thousands of people have before me. But everything went okay. The test went okay. And when I got back to my room, actually the funny thing was, they delivered my food for post-test. They delivered my food pre-test. So I knew that I wasn't supposed to eat, so I didn't eat. But it was like, it's like taunting you. You have had nothing but ice chips for 24 hours or whatever, and somebody comes and sits a tray of anything in your room, you're going to want to eat. So there was that. And then when I came back from my leak test, by the time they took so long for my leak test, I didn't have my leak test till almost noon. So by the time I came back, the lunch was there. So I had another tray of delightful chicken broth and Jello. I will say that the hospital version of the broth and Jello was probably the worst. So that's kind of motivated me to want to actually go home, because I knew that my flavors of Jello and my broth was much better. And if it wasn't, I could hook it up. But in the hospital, it's pretty darn bland. So, yeah, so I came back from my leak test. I attempted to eat. My experience on eating. At first, I was really scared of how it would feel going down. So I just sip, like everybody says. I ate a little taste of this, a little taste of that, like a little half a spoonful of broth, a little spoonful of the Jello, and they also had like this liquid protein that was like a gel, and that actually tasted sweet. It was unflavored, but it kind of tastes like a candy that's melted. It was actually pretty good, almost caramel flavored. And so I tried to take that whole packet in. I couldn't the first meal, but the next meal I was able to do that. And I kind of ate the Jello as much as I could, like a few spoonfuls, just to try to get something in. And I also had the Crystal Light. Yeah, I also had the Crystal Light. But I made a goal to try to get at least half the bottle of the Crystal Light down, and then I drank the other half the next morning. You know, just kind of already starting with my water goals. And, you know, as far as pain was fine, wasn't anything major. I probably could have switched off the narcotic medicine by the second day. I continued to walk, continued to try eating, but I didn't eat very much. I just concentrated on trying to get the water crystal light down. So I was released the next morning, had my final meeting with the head nurse and dietitian. And they gave us, all the bariatric patients that were being released that day, we sat together and discussed, you know, best practices for when we went home. And then I was out of there. So when I got home, basically what's gone on over this past week is that I have gone through, I guess, a couple of different transitions. At first, when I got home, I was super hungry. I know that it's such a thing as head hunger, so I read it as such, but it just seemed like I didn't have this overwhelming feeling of fullness, or maybe was not recognizing what the feeling of fullness should be, because it just seemed like I would eat a couple of bites of soup or whatever, or broth or whatever, and just not feel like eating it anymore. Not that I felt satisfied or full, but just I didn't want to eat it anymore. And I'd go and grab a couple of bites of Jell-O, and then I just wouldn't want to eat that anymore. But it's not like I felt satisfied. Every time somebody ate in front of me, I would feel almost like a hunger pain. And if I saw something delicious on TV that I you know, like to eat, you know, I would feel like a hunger pain. So I was a little like waiting for that feeling of, I don't want any food. I'm full. I'm satisfied. Can't barely drink a glass of Gatorade. I was waiting for that feeling, but I really did not get that. So by the third or fourth day home, I was like, you know, wanting something else other than just my liquid diet. So another thing that happened was I got diarrhea really, really, really bad. And the diarrhea definitely was a problem, definitely was a factor with me, and wanting to introduce some other food. So I tried different things. I went to the grocery store, went shopping for a lot of the things that I would need for my puree phase, and I decided to try to pull in some of the things from puree phase that were closest to what I was eating on my full liquid. My full liquid includes milk and yogurt and all that, so I was trying to get something still soft, but just something different. So I tried cottage cheese. I tried baby food, which is, you know, just some stage 2 baby food. It was like meat and a vegetable. Tried some baby food. I tried, I think later that day, I tried some cottage cheese. And it just, neither one seemed to sit with me well, but they did make me feel satisfied. And I could only eat like a spoonful or two of it. So I know that I felt that when I get to the point where I can eat those things, eat any kind of food with any kind of consistency to it, then I will get that feeling of fullness. It's just a liquid diet that just doesn't do it for me. Plus the fact that everything's kind of going through me because of the diarrhea. So I began to feel hopeful that once I transition to puree, that I'm going to feel a lot more satisfied. Another thing, I have had acid reflux kind of creep up on me. I've been taking an acid reducer prescribed by my doctor, but actually today I had to call and get a second proton pump inhibitor, which is like just another acid, basically acid acid reducer, prevents as much acid to be created and to help combat this acid reflux. So I don't want it to get to be such a problem, but I noticed that, when I have a flare up of the acid reflux, it makes me not want to eat as much. It makes me not want to drink as much. It makes me not want to put anything down there because I'm just uncomfortable. So, I'm looking forward to that stuff kicking in. And in the meantime, I would say that after that attempt to try to incorporate some soft or puree-like foods into my diet, I kind of backed off a little bit and decided to kind of take it back down to just the broth. And so far, so good. I actually, I'm now at 7 days, 1 week exactly. In the last couple days, my hunger has kind of gone away, kind of swung the pendulum the other way, because now I'm not really hungry at all. Not that I get like a satisfied feeling or anything yet, but I am not hungry. So I have to actually remind myself to kind of eat something or drink something every couple hours to get in my protein, to get in, as much of my necessary nutrients as possible. And I drink all day. I also found that I think that acid reflux, until I get it under control, I'm going to lay off the G2 and the Powerade Zero a little bit, because I'm having less acid reflux generated by drinking Crystal Light than drinking those other things. I've also been incorporating some Fairlife milk and some almond milk into my protein drinks, just to punch it up with a little more protein, give the drink a little more weight, and make it a little more caloric and satisfying. So that's what I've been doing for this past week, that my whole surgical experience, and what I've been doing food-wise. I have lost 17 pounds. I'm really excited about that. I'm looking forward to the next 17. And I'll check in on week 2 of my journey.